Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Welcome back to Scanning Penguin Network, everyone. It is Robbie here, and joined here again by Snail, who I'll toss it over to here momentarily. Been a little while since we sat down and did a chat, but we are back here on the evening of Wednesday, June 18th, and we are over midway through the month of June, and we can safely say now that the 2024-25 NHL season has come to a close. The Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. They go back-to-back. They now become the third team of the 21st century to go back-to-back, following the Penguins in 16 and 17, and then the Lightning in 2021. Florida may be the most dominant of that group, just the way they have played. Sam Bennett, pending free agent Sam Bennett, gets the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP, just beating, of all players, Brad Marchand, who had a very strong case himself, but Sam Bennett had 15 or 16 goals. That wasn't going to get ignored by the voters, so he wins that trophy. So we'll bring in Snail now. And Snail, I mean, it felt like at a point inevitable that this was going to be how it all played out. I know I was rooting for the Oilers, but you have to respect the greatness of Florida, the best team. Clearly, I think they are right now a step above everyone else. There are teams that are very good, but right now Florida is sitting in a tier of its very own.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good to be back on here, Robbie. There's been a kind of a break, I guess you could say, since the last time we recorded. It's kind of an odd time for a podcast for a hockey team that hasn't been in the playoffs. So, I'm glad to be back and talking a little bit of hockey now that the season's over. Yeah, it's June. The Stanley Cup got awarded yesterday on the 17th. I can't not bring this up when I've been talking to people about this, that they need to figure out a way to hand out the Stanley Cup a little bit earlier. It's too late in the summer. And also with those couple of 2 days in between Stanley Cup games, I don't know about you, but it just it messes with the flow of the playoffs. Everything's, every day and then every other day there's a game on, and it's a little too late in the summer for me for this to be. I mean, it's not even technically summer. Summer starts in 3 days technically. The 21st typically is
20th, 21st. Yeah, one of those 2 days. This weekend, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm happy the season's wrapped up, and yeah, man, the Florida Panthers, I would say that the Oilers were maybe not as good of a team as they were last year. I've actually been trying to hold off on listening to any sort of hockey. I consume a lot of podcasts like Hockey Talk and stuff. I like to, listen to all the big names or whatever and some other smaller ones, but I've been trying to hold off on listening to them because I was anticipating this episode and I wanted to get my untainted original thoughts out there with you. And they made mincemeat of the Oilers. Like the Oilers last year, didn't they were down in the series, like weren't they about to get swept? And then they were
down. You mean last year or this year?
Or last year. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year they were down 3-0 and came all the way back and forced the Game 7. This year they even had home ice.
They won the first game.
Take Game 1. I mean, they were a shot away from winning Game 2. But I mean, Florida in 3 of Florida's 4 wins, they just beat the hell out of the Oilers. I mean, they had the one overtime winning Game 2, but in all 3 home games, they dominated Game 4 until they let the Oilers back into it. They were up 3-0 in that game as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're relentless. They do not stop. They just grind you to nothing. Guys that maybe didn't even have a great playoffs were fantastic in the final. Just routine greatness from this team. And Bobrovsky, I felt like nobody talked about for 3 rounds. And he comes up absolutely massive in the final again. Bennett cashed in, whether that's in Florida or somewhere else. Bennett's going to get a mega contract this offseason from someone. If you're Edmonton, if Edmonton plays anybody that's not Florida, they probably win the cup. I mean,
I think so too.
My biggest concern with Florida was how much of a fight could Tampa give them? They knocked Tampa out in 5 games with very little problems.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto was really their longest series. I mean, Toronto, that was the only game, the only series where they faced elimination. And they faced elimination for 1 game, and they blew Toronto out of the water. Other than that, they were up in every series. The only series they did fall behind 2-0 against Toronto. Toronto had them against the wall. And
big time, man.
And
Matthews was a no-show in that series too. You have a healthy, fired up Matthews. You'd think that maybe that there were a couple moments in that series. I don't know what his deal was. Apparently he was injured. Sometimes his body language, I've always had a gripe with a lot of the players on Toronto's body language. It sometimes looks like they like to score goals and celebrate and all the fun stuff that comes with hockey. But when a hockey game gets tough, what do they say when the going gets tough?
Tough get going.
The tough get going. The Maple Leafs tend to not get going. They tend to wilt. And I just looking back at it, hindsight is typically 2020, right, Robbie? But I don't know. You have a fired up Matthews, like a 69 goal scorer Matthews type of season. You'd think that maybe that it could have been a different finals. It could have been Toronto. Or Carolina, and I think Edmonton would have handled business in that scenario. But man, the one thing about the Florida Panthers that just is that was kind of should make other teams scared is just when it gets to playoff time, dude. They're so efficient. Like you see how Edmonton, they kind of remind me of God, there's a lot of teams that do this, but it just looked like every shift they were working so hard to create a chance. We talk about, in the playoffs, it's north-south hockey. It's finishing checks, not a lot of room for that east-west kind of skill game. You've got one of the fastest and most dynamic offensive players that the world has ever seen in Connor McDavid. He had 1 goal in the Stanley Cup final. In the Stanley Cup, in this series against the Panthers, and it just seemed that Edmonton would work so hard to create a chance, and then Florida just the second that Edmonton makes a mistake, it ends up in the back of their net. Like whether it's a depth guy on Florida or it's one of their stars, Barkov. I think he had maybe no goals, 1 goal in the series. But I mean, look at their supporting cast. I think all their top 6 players, you look at even Evan Rodriguez and Carter Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk, who's everyone's playing injured, and they all were producing. They're just so efficient, and it was. You look next year, Robbie. I'm like, we've done this with other teams too. Like, remember when Tampa was on their heater? We were like, they just seem unbeatable. They could win 3 or 4 Stanley Cups. This iteration of the Florida Panthers and the way that they're coached and just the overall buy-in, it seems, from some of these guys, and the meshing of these big personalities with these role player guys. I mean, this might be the team that could three-peat in the modern era. Like, I actually think that they could. I think that you're going to see Sam Bennett back there. Marchand is the one out of Ekblad and Bennett that and him, those 3 guys that are up for a deal. I could see Marchand being the one guy that leaves, but he could come back and they're all on such team-friendly contracts, Robbie, that if they need a boost at the trade deadline, they'll have assets and they'll have means to go out and get whatever help that they might need. Bobrovsky's 36. He's going to be turning 37. I think he quit drinking or something, and he's really into his faith, because that guy, I don't know, that guy's as dialed in of a goalie as I've ever seen, like Vasilevsky kind of esque. There's something in the water in Russia with these goaltenders, man. But yeah, I would, if I'm a GM or if I'm a player on any other team in the league, I'm pretty worried about this Panther team. Just, it doesn't even matter if they're the 8th seed going into the playoffs next year. They know what to do. They're efficient when they play. They've got scoring. They've got defense. They've got bite. That's a good hockey team, and that's a good hockey team. They're not a high flying, kind of fun to watch every single night, exciting goal scoring team. But they're not a lock it down, boring team. They're just a good hockey team, and they exposed 2 of the best players on the planet. They couldn't get anything going, man. And Draisaitl was healthy this series too. I'll stop ranting and hand it back over to you. But the Oilers had a lot of health this year, where last year you looked at Draisaitl, he was very hurt. He couldn't do much in the finals last year. This year, I don't know. It's just weird. You look at some of the moves they made. You have, they let some of those guys go, and we've ripped on Edmonton plenty this season for some of the choices that they made, and there's always that comparison of McDavid and Crosby, and we've always kind of agreed that, the Penguins did such a good job of insulating their superstar in Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. And I feel like this is one of those things where you're gonna look back in a couple of years and you're gonna be like, I think McDavid and Draisaitl, they made pretty light work of, well, maybe not light work, but they ran through that Western Conference pretty confidently. And then they get to the Stanley Cup final, and I feel like all their holes were exposed, and it wasn't really much of a competition at the end there. So those were kind of my thoughts that I've been waiting to spew out on here after watching every game of this series. And I don't know. I don't know where you go from here if you're Edmonton, Robbie, but Florida, they're sitting pretty. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do if you're an opposing team right now. Obviously, decisions will have to be made this offseason, like you said, in terms of Bennett, Ekblad. And Ekblad's been he seems like a lifer, but maybe they move on from Aaron Ekblad. You have he definitely is not the player he was, but he's still a valuable part of that whole entire franchise. Marchand's a real wild card, I think. I think he's definitely going to prioritize winning. I mean, he's 37, 38. He's going to go somewhere that they can win. He probably doesn't want to be traded at the deadline again. I could foresee a situation where he ends up back in Florida. Absolutely. Bennett, someone's going to offer him more than Florida's going to offer him. Whether or not he gives them hometown discount and stays in Florida would not surprise me at all. I think he is going to be their top priority just because of what he's meant to the success they've had the past 3 seasons. But it will be very interesting to see what team goes out there and offers him a lot of money, a very big contract. But hey, you couldn't have asked for a better contract year performance in the playoffs. Conn Smythe, Stanley Cup, 15, 16 goals. I think like 13 or 14 came on the road or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how they prioritize those guys. But I think Marchand's going to go to a team that is in a position to win now, whether that's Florida or like a Vegas. Whether Toronto tries to take a run at him, we'll see there. But Bennett, I think they're going to do everything they can to get him back. But they're going to have to compete with somebody offering him a very large contract. And it'll be up to whether or not he wants to stay in Florida. I would think that he does. I mean, he's a guy that kind of never really found his place until he went to Florida. And they've kind of given him everything, and he's kind of given them everything. So it would not surprise me to see him back there as well. But the rest of that team is locked in. I mean, Barkov is there for Hagee. I mean, they let Brandon Montour walk last offseason, and they're basically the same exact team.
Somehow they've gotten Seth Jones to look like he did in Columbus.
Yeah. Seth Jones, like early career Seth Jones, was playing for the Panthers. Which again, credit to coaching, credit to the front office for putting all that together. But they're just a machine. They are inevitable. They are a team that it does not matter where they start in the playoffs as long as they get to the playoffs. Right now, they are what I considered Vegas. Basically, Vegas is a team where you put them anywhere, they're going to be a problem. Whether or not they win the cup, that's another story. But Florida right now is in a position where, listen, just get us to the playoffs, and we're going to dish out carnage. And they do. I mean, guys like Verhaeghe, I looked today. Verhaeghe had like 50 points during the season, and he was a point per game player in the playoffs.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he had, I think, 23 points in 23 games. I think Verhaeghe had. But they just go out there and they beat the hell out of you. And they have skill. They have skill to top it off, which is kind of the special sauce. Is not only are their guys skilled, but they work at an incredibly high rate. And then Bobrovsky on the back end, again, a guy that would for years had great success in the regular season, but really spotty in the playoffs. The last 2 years, he's been money in the bank. He's been the closer. He's been their rock back there. And again, he was in the Hall of Fame last year. Now he's putting his name up there among the all-time greats. I think somebody said that he's on track. He'll pass Patrick Waugh for third most all wins all time, assuming he keeps playing for a couple more seasons. Two-time Vezina winner, all-time great back there now, all-time legend of the game. I think he's even like kind of, I mean, of this era of Russian goalies, he's probably the top of that ranking now above Vasilevsky, just because, I mean, he just goes out there and just every time out there, just there to slam the door, there to slam the door, there to slam the door. But yeah, they just, again, they let it get away from him in game 4. They could have gone up 3-1, but they don't blink. They don't blink. They don't panic. They don't worry. They go back to Edmonton, flatten Edmonton on their own ice. And then game 6, just as soon as the puck dropped, it felt inevitable. They jump out to I think it was 5-0 lead before Edmonton broke the shutout late. But they do what they do, and they're well earned another cup.
For sure. And I was just going to comment a couple of things. Like we were talking about Jones and Ekblad. I think Ekblad would probably come back. But, dude, like Verhaeghe's 29. Ekblad's 29 years old. Seth Jones is 30. I didn't know Seth Jones was older than Ekblad. That's kind of crazy to me, actually. But, dude, none of these guys are, like, over the hill yet. Like, their window is propped wide open with their core, which is scary.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky, that might be, down the road, the thing to kind of, goaltending might become an issue for them at some point. They got rid of Spencer Knight. He was kind of their young, kind of highly touted backup that actually, remember that year that the Penguins almost was, they were like, they lost that game to Chicago. That year, Spencer Knight got them into the playoffs, and then Bobrovsky took over, and then they lost to Vegas. Like, so, Bobrovsky, as good as he is, he has 2 Vezinas, right? He had one in Columbus, and he's got 2 cups. Him and Vasilevsky are, they're 1 and 2 in in the, like you said, in of this, like of the last decade, maybe last, well, what year is it now? God, yeah, last decade. They're the two best. They're neck and neck, wouldn't you say? They've both been to 3 cup final. No, Vasilevsky did technically get to 4 because Bishop got hurt.
That year. He was he was Bishop? Bishop got hurt against the Penguins in 20.
That was against the Penguins, and then that year before that, he was a backup. I think.
Yep, you're right.
I think Brian Elliott might have been in Tampa at one point too, but either way, those are neither here nor there. But my point being is, like, this team is like, they're giving me like Blackhawks vibes from like the 2010s.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of these guys, Barkov is not even 30. He'll be 30 like when the next season starts. The oldest player is like Bobrovsky, who comes in at he'll be 37 in September, so he's definitely
that's old.
On the old, yeah. But Kachuk is only 27.
Sam Bennett feels like he's 50, but he's probably what, 30?
Bennett is the same age as Reinhart. They're both 29.
Oh God, everyone's 29.
Yeah. Well, Bennett and Reinhart were drafted the same year, 3rd and 4th overall.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Who did Reinhart get drafted to? Was he drafted by Buffalo?
Might have been.
I know his brother. His brother was in the NHL.
So they actually employ the 1st overall pick in Aaron Ekblad. They employ the 3rd overall pick in Sam Reinhart, and they employ the 4th overall pick in Sam Bennett.
Wow, savvy moves by.
And Reinhart was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. Yes.
Pain.
Oh
that
yeah,
franchise just takes L's, dude.
Deeply, deeply, deeply painful. If you're a Buffalo fan seeing this. But don't sleep on Calgary either. I mean, Calgary had both
Bennett and Kachuk.
Evan Rodriguez was in Pittsburgh.
He was in Buffalo too.
Yeah, he started in Buffalo. Yep, he was drafted by the Sabres.
Pain.
Yeah, deep pain. Actually, he might have been a free agent, but I mean, they've built this out so well that you look at their roster. I mean, they're going to be there again next year, provided health. I mean, they're just going to do it. They're going to be there again. Again, no guarantees in the NHL, but
for sure,
all they got to do is get to the playoffs, and they turn into another year, and they turn into like they're just a demon in the playoffs. They are built for the playoffs, and now they have the experience of winning. And they feast on that, and when you show a moment of weakness, they're just like rats, just all over you.
They feast. They are demons. I think they feast on other teams like despair. They feast on, you make an error, they're just ready to pounce on any errors you make and turn it against you. If they were a Magic the Gathering card deck, they would be the black one, and they are just made to turn your own cards against you. There's something else, and looking into next year, I'm just like, I mean, you look around the league, and it's like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's bleak for other teams right now. Go and make your offseason moves and try to get better, but the way that for so long, teams were trying to do the speed thing, kind of follow the Penguins' footsteps from their back-to-back. Everyone was trying to get fast, skilled and fast. Florida and Tampa kind of had it was cut from a similar cloth, but Florida's like perfected it. Just like,
yeah, Florida has like
well-rounded, just real hockey. Like physicality really plays a part in their game. And if Garrett's listening to this, don't get your undies in a bunch. I'm not talking about fighting and fisticuffs, but they'll take you to the back alley if they need to. They've got a bunch of guys that are able and willing for that, but they're tough. They're tough to play against defensively, physically. They're a nightmare to play against, and they've got guys that can put the puck in the net with the best of them. So, I don't know. Good luck to the rest of the league.
Yeah. Every team's going to be building to be like to be like Florida and to beat Florida. Some crazy stuff's going to happen this offseason.
You think knee-jerk reactions are going to happen?
I think you're going to see knee-jerk reactions in Edmonton. They're going to have to do something about the goaltending. I mean, the goaltending it's not good enough. I'm sorry, it's just not good enough.
Stuart Skinner went full Jari.
Yeah, and Pickard is just, I mean, he's not a starting goaltender. That's fine. He's a fine backup. He did what he could. They just gave Trent Frederick an 8-year contract today.
I thought that was a knee-jerk reaction.
That was, I mean, he's fine. He's not 8 years. It's absurd. Like, that's insane. Like
8 years. I mean, he's a third line player.
Good for him. I mean, good for him to get paid, and he has security.
Security. Oh yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it either, but Edmonton just being like, that's the first order of business you go and get in front of. It's just so funny
they did that the day after. Like, was that just like in the chamber, like waiting for the season to end? Like, that contract was just like waiting there? Because like,
not to read the tea leaves too much, but you think Evander Kane's on his way out? They need a tough guy.
Man, Kane, really weird situation last night. He got thrown out, and apparently he didn't come do the handshake line.
He didn't.
He looked good at points in the playoffs. He had his moments, but Kane is one of those guys. Like, I think he is when he has like Phil Kessel in a different way. Like, he has his lifespan.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And when it spoils, it's done.
And, that shelf life isn't as long as other guys'.
And it wasn't because like Phil did it. I just think that's a personality thing with Phil. It wears thin. Kane, I just think is kind of a D-bag. He's kind of a personality. And I'm sure that, he still has talent, still can be a great player. It wears thin after a while. And I think he might be on his way out. I think you're going to see big changes in Edmonton. McDavid's a free agent next year. I mean, where is everybody talking about McDavid being traded to? Colorado or Toronto or Dallas or somewhere to win a cup? Why is Crosby the continued focus of this attention?
It's going to shift very soon. If he doesn't get an extension done, McDavid doesn't have to. McDavid could have a bummer. McDavid could have a bummer year this year and put up, pedestrian numbers for a guy like McDavid. And there's going to be contracts waiting there just for
McDavid could take next year off.
He could take next year off.
Yeah.
And he's going to be fine. I think that there is going to be some, let's just say there's going to be some stressed and some clenched bottoms in Oiler country with this whole McDavid. I mean, you got Draisaitl for what? How many more years? Like, you got him locked up, but
Draisaitl's locked up long term.
But is it as potent if you lose the golden goose that is McDavid?
Oh, no. I mean, McDavid. I mean, being Canadian, playing in that market, that is, again, just having those two guys healthy, you're pretty much a lock for the playoffs. Those guys are going to put up absurd point totals. That's going to carry you through most of the season. The depth, obviously, a big issue in the playoffs. But again, they've come within a game and now 2 games of winning the cup the last 2 years. So, I mean, we're not talking about a team that just kind of pulled a rabbit out of the hat the last 2 years. There's parts there that can get you to the doorstep. It's just about kicking down that door. So, I mean, McDavid's going to be the big question with an extension, but you're going to have to figure out some of that depth. Evan Bouchard, again, he just needs to move to forward, I think.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, he is like.
Would you give him $10 million?
That's a lot for a dude that turns the puck over habitually when it matters the most. I mean, man alive. If you can find a guy that could just be his Brian Dumoulin, like Dumoulin was for Chris Letang.
Yeah. Do you think Ekholm's just kind of on the back nine?
Ekholm's just, they got, if he was 2 or 3 years younger, a different story. But they got him a little late in his career for him to be fully effective. Yeah. Because if they would have got Nashville Ekholm, I mean, you're talking about a completely different story.
I agree with that. Maybe, they did that with Duncan Keith too. They got Duncan Keith when he was basically on the way out. They got Ekholm. And I mean, Ekholm that first year when they got him was a great pickup. He looked like he fit in. He made Bouchard shine a lot brighter. And this playoffs, I just feel like Ekholm looked old. I mean, I know he might not have been the healthiest, but he looked old. Yeah, he needs that Dumoulin. He needs that perfect pairing. And unfortunately, those really responsible, steady Eddie, he's a right shot, those left shot D-men, they don't really grow on trees. And teams that have a good, steady Eddie defenseman, they're not letting them go.
No, not anymore.
No. The Penguins could have used one with Carlson and Letang, like Pettersson would have been a great pickup for them. But anyways, if you're an Oiler fan, man, I mean, 2 cup finals, 2 of the same results this year, probably a little more painful just with the way that it ended, even quicker. And the superstars were silenced. You never really had the McDavid game. The games that they won, they really had to scratch and claw to win. I think they won weren't they all in overtime? The ones that they won?
Yeah, they won both in overtime. Yeah.
That just shows that's insane how good Florida is. I mean, it really.
Because overtime, when it's 2 teams like that, literally anything can happen.
I mean, that Draisaitl goal was so fluky that he scored on in overtime.
Yeah, it was a one-handed backhand that bounced off of whoever the defenseman was.
Bennett hit the post.
Yeah, Bobrovsky couldn't react in time. That's basically what that was. The Cats, the Florida Panthers, are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. That is now the 4th time in 5 years the team from Florida has won a Stanley Cup. That is quite the feat there. No, sorry, the 4th time in 6 years. I forgot about the Vegas Cup. The Vegas Cup is in there with Colorado as well. But
it might not be coming out. It might not be going out of the state of Florida anytime super soon.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, Florida, the Panthers at least look are gonna be back again in some form or fashion. The Lightning, I think, have more questions right now than obviously the Panthers do. But no, it's going to be interesting to see how teams react now this offseason with trades and free agency, what they do to kind of either copycat the Florida Panthers or find the antidote for the Florida Panthers. So, but again, we won't really know anything until next spring because the Panthers, it's not going to really matter as long as they get to the playoffs. That's where it's going to count the most. So we won't really have a true answer if anybody found the solution until next spring at the earliest. So
if you're a Stan Bowman, let's say you're stepping into the shoes of Stan Bowman, what's the first order of business? I mean, I know they took care of Trent Frederick, so they got that big bit of business out of the way, I guess. But if you're Stan Bowman or the Oilers, like, what's the first thing you do to I don't want to say like fix what's going on, but what are you addressing first and foremost?
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This message is brought to you by Abercrombie Kids, your place to shop everything they need for a summer full of memories. Kids can never have too many shorts and tees, and Abercrombie Kids has endless options. Planning a water park or beach trip? Get them new swim with next-level comfort. Summer's calling. Answer with Abercrombie Kids. Shop in-store, online, or in the app.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Goaltending, I think, has to be the top. It just, again, you've run this 2 years in a row. Stuart Skinner is not the answer. You got to try to find something with goaltending, whether it's unearthing a diamond in the rough or ponying up to get a number one, and then number two, I think, has to be figure out something with McDavid, because again, if McDavid doesn't extend, all you're going to hear about all season. That's all you're going to hear about with Edmonton. That's the only thing you'll hear about.
Yeah, it'll be Crosby times 10, right?
Yeah, because again, it's going to be like Crosby never even got this close to free agency as in his prime. Never got this close to free agency. The Penguins always had him tied down. That was never in question. So yeah, if you thought the Crosby stuff last summer was annoying, like it would be just constant all year with McDavid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this summer shakes out because they got a tidy bit of business to handle. But yeah, Cats win it. Florida Stanley Cup champions again. I feel like I never thought I'd see this many back-to-back Stanley Cups, honestly, in my life. It used to seem like it was impossible to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you've had 3 since 2016 now. I mean, yeah, it's been much more constant. Like the Penguins were the first in like 20 years to do it, and now we've had 3 since the Penguins did it in 2016, 2017. So, yeah.
Well, Robbie, I don't know. I don't have too many more thoughts on the Stanley Cup final other than I'm kind of glad that it's all over. I'm, looking forward to next season, hoping that just hoping that this summer is filled with a bunch of good tidbits of Penguins news. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of movement. You want to shift over to talking about some of the Penguins news that's come out in the last week?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what you want to start with, but something big just dropped in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, so we'll just, I guess, start there. Piece number 1 to Dan Muse's staff is now in place, it looked like, and it will be a name that many are familiar with, and it is former Penguin Nick Bonino will be joining the Penguins' new coaching staff. He will be behind the bench. Which is, I guess, surprising. I didn't think Bonino is definitely not a name that I would have had on a list for coming to Pittsburgh, and especially since he was technically still playing.
He was. Yeah, I saw that he had signed like a 1-year contract.
Yeah, he just like up and retired. So my guess is the Penguins are probably offering him more money than whatever that little tiny European club was. That's my guess, and he gets to come back home, obviously. In familiar territory in Pittsburgh. I don't know what his connection with Dan Muse is exactly. I don't know where they may have crossed paths, but he will be.
Bonino is he a Boston guy? No, he's Connecticut. Close enough.
Yeah, so I mean, he's from
from the Northeast.
The Northeast. He was with the Rangers for a bit, but I don't think that was. When Dan Muse was there yet, but he will be a regular. It doesn't say he'll necessarily be a regular behind the bench, but he is joining the coaching staff in some role. But yeah, Bonino, who was a crucial part to the aforementioned back-to-back Stanley Cups that the Penguins won. So that is piece 1. And yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere because I was under the impression that Nick Bonino was still a professional hockey player over in Europe, and it came out that he announced his retirement and is coming to Pittsburgh to be on the coaching staff. So welcome back, Bones. It's good to have the ball rolling on that coaching staff now.
Yeah, I guess he would have been in New York when Dan Muse was there.
Okay.
I think at least it looked. I think if my math is correct, but man, I was shocked to see Nick Bonino, like you said, because he, as far as I knew, he was like maybe just kind of enjoying like sort of post NHL career, like playing over in Europe, probably some beautiful city out there, getting paid a not so pretty penny, but you take your hockey, like hockey lifer stuff, you end up going overseas and you sample what it's like to be a pro hockey player over there. And, Europe's probably always nice. They like their hockey in a lot of those places. I think he was in Austria, but, I know it's not the head coaching position, but I'd been keen on this idea, Robbie, and I've been saying it on here. I was hoping that the Penguins would dig into their bag of resources and that being like players that had played and had success in Pittsburgh and bring them behind the bench. I'd been, I'd thrown out like Trevor Daley. I'd thrown out God, I always space on. I know his name all the time, and then when I come on here, I forget it. The dude who took out Savard. He was an AHL coach. What's his name?
Who are we talking about here?
The guy who ended Mark Savard's career.
Matt Cook.
Matt Cook. I always want to say Matt Woods when I'm on here. I don't know why, but Matt Cook. I've been saying bring Matt Cook in. Bonino kind of fits into that bill though. Like I was saying, Trevor Daley. Like guys, role guys that were beloved and had success in Pittsburgh. So Bonino, HBK line. He's 2 cups. Bonino. Like beloved fan, a fan favorite in Pittsburgh. I'm all about it, man. So he has a relationship with Sid. You probably think that, we don't really know what his exact role is, but you could guess that he brings, he's going to be that link between a new coach and Dan Muse and the veterans. That's something that we always kind of touted Sully for. It would be hard to let him walk because he has the trust and the buy-in from the veterans on this team, from Letang, from Sid, from Gino, and bringing in a first-time head coach and a guy that is not so far in age from the captain of this team. We talked about it a little bit. Maybe we touched on it, that the overall buy-in. That's kind of like, how do these veterans kind of react to a new voice? That's they're going from Sully, the connection, the 2 cups with him. And then implementing this new guy. Bonino could probably be a really big help in just the delivering messages and the overall buy-in. I don't think Sid's going to be a problem, buying in. Like, I'm not talking about him. Gino may be a bit. You hear stories about, Gino's he's got a bit of an ego to him, and he's kind of a bully. And Tanger, he's an exceptional teammate. I don't think there's an issue with him. No. I'm not trying to single out Gino, but there's probably going to be some bumps along the road with this new coach in place. It's inevitable. No matter how good of a guy he is or how good or bad of a coach, there's going to be some bumps in the road. So I'd assume that he's going to be helpful in delivering these messages. Those veterans trust Bonino. They've won together, won cups together, gone through ups and downs. I think it's a great hire overall, really. And if he's not behind the bench all the time, so be it. But I mean, he was a smart, good hockey player.
He was.
He really was.
He was that kind of third line glue guy.
Totally.
Probably could have worn an A at some point. May have actually for a couple games at some point when somebody was hurt. But no, I like Bonino. Yeah, he does. He's played with some of these guys, so he can kind of connect the young to the old in a way. In whatever role he is. So we'll find out hopefully more of that here in the coming days and weeks, because we're really, by the time you listen to this, it'll be Thursday the 19th. We'll be 8 days out from the NHL draft, which is round 1 is next Friday the 27th. The Penguins, as of right now, hold the 11th overall pick. By next Wednesday, though, I believe is the deadline. The 25th, they have 48 hours, the Rangers do, to decide on what they do with the 12th pick, whether it goes to Pittsburgh or they keep it, meaning next year's pick, regardless of where it's at, would go to Pittsburgh. So, yeah, we will find by next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, would be the 48-hour cutoff, which would definitely change some of the mock drafts that I've been seeing because it's kind of gone from – obviously they would get an entire – second pick, and if they would maybe try to use it to move up if possible, depending on who falls where, I guess we will wait and see on that. But the report came out this week. This is going away from the draft a little bit, that it appears that this will be the final season for Evgeny Malkin, at least in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The way it was worded, it kind of sounds like even if Malkin decides to play past this season, it does not sound like the Penguins are going to offer him a contract. Now, again, this is anonymous sources. This is it is also June of 2025. A lot can change in a week, let alone an entire year. But according to Josh Yohe, the Penguins, they will have Gino play out his final season in Pittsburgh. He will be almost 40 by the time that ends. But it does sound like this will be Evgeny Malkin's swan song. I'm not going to say surprised by any means. I really don't think that anybody can be surprised by that. You've seen the beating he's taken. You've seen the dip in production. Still a very productive player. Obviously not what he once was and will never be that again. But if this is truly his last season, even if they're not good, I hope we get to enjoy 82 games of Evgeny Malkin, because, again, he will leave Pittsburgh either by retirement or to play on another team. He will leave Pittsburgh as one of the legends in franchise history.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, Evgeny Malkin, it's been such a treat to watch him, dude, in a Pittsburgh uniform. And there were a couple times, his name would be thrown out there. Like, the Penguins have like an abundance of riches, having a 1-2 punch with Sid and Gino. And would he ever move on and play for another team? And I loved that interview he came out with. I forget, was it who was it that did the interview with him where he was riding around in Gino's car? And is it Dan? It's the dude who does the intermission stuff sometimes.
Dan Potash?
Was it Potash? Is he bald?
So. No, he's not bald. He has blondish hair.
Oh, man. We'll figure that out. But anyways, there was an interview with Gino where he eventually said, I think it's best I stay in Pittsburgh and try to win cups with Sid. I think that's my best bet. Gino has a great personality, and I think that the one thing I'd be most excited for, I don't want him to retire, but he's got to hang him up at some point, whether it's with the Penguins or not. But I hope he does some media. Like, there needs to be like a Gino documentary. I mean, he grew up in Magnitogorsk, Russia. He has an older brother that played hockey too. I don't think to any elite degree.
No.
But
I think he'd be a better documentary subject than like Sidney Crosby.
I think so too. And I mean, because Sid's been documented since he was 9 years old. Like there's documentaries of him.
He's been on radars since he was probably 4 or 5 or 6. Like they've known about him. There's going to be stuff written about Sid once he retires. But again, Malkin's a much better personality too. Like nothing against Sid, but from just an entertainment standpoint. And again, getting the interviews of former teammates would be classic, because Malkin, like Crosby, has the good stories of like doing something for someone, or the great stories that he
about like how winning, like in the game type stuff, like Malkin, what he was thinking.
Malkin has the goofball kind of stories, kind of like the I mean, he's the European thrown in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for goodness sakes. Like it came like just the story of him leaving Magnitogorsk, like in the cover of darkness, to get over to Pittsburgh. Like, dude,
exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Shine a light on all that kind of stuff. And what it was like, we have a lot of stories about Yager now since he's been out of the game for a while. And I think Gino, I want him to have a good solid amount of time in the limelight post-career and get to know this guy. Because, for a long time, his English really wasn't good, and he still doesn't like to do interviews. His interviews are hilarious. He knows he can't really speak English that well, and he just plows through sentences. I love it. Anytime they get to talk to him, I think TNT Gino got a chance to actually go post game on TNT with Ace and Hank and Biz and Liam McHugh, and I want more of that. But as far as it goes this year, as far as his play and everything, I mean, he's what, 39 years old. Remember Kovalchuk? He came back to the NHL and he played till he was what, 39 or so. I couldn't see. I can't see Gino playing in another sweater. I think if he wanted to, there is this small chance of possibility, and you can clip this and we can play it down the road at trade deadline this next season. But if he wanted to go make one more run in the playoffs, if the Penguins are well out, which I'm going to assume that they will be, you'd think that Dubas would try to find a way to get him to a team where maybe Florida. He lives in Florida.
That's kind of what my entire thought process was.
That's your conspiracy theory?
That if it would be anywhere besides Pittsburgh, it would be Magnitsky, which I don't think he wants to go back to Russia to play, or Florida. Because he has the house down there, he lives down there in the offseason. If he would just say straight up, I'm going to go one more run, empty the tank, and I would think it would be Florida, or maybe Tampa Bay, just because of location. But my
Cooch is there.
Yeah, my Vasilevsky's there, but Bobrovsky's in Florida. It just makes too much sense that if he'd want to empty the tank for one more run just to see if he could do it, it would be one of the Florida teams, more likely the Panthers and the Lightning. But yeah, he lives down there in the offseason. He has a house down there. That's kind of his second home now, even more so than Russia. He spends outside of Pittsburgh, spends most of his time in Florida. So that would be my other guess would be he heads to the Panthers just to take one more shot if he thinks he has it in him to go one more round.
He gets traded to the Panthers and is their third line center, and he wins the Conn Smythe.
Hey, Marchand did it. Almost did it. He's not a center, but
Marchand had my vote. If I had a vote in this, I think he was my Conn Smythe winner.
It just felt like every big goal in the final involved him in some way. Now, I understand the Conn Smythe is for the entire playoffs.
Right.
Bennett, like I said, 15, 16 goals, whatever stupid number it was. Definitely, again, it was a close vote. It wasn't like one guy ran away with it.
It wasn't a landslide at all. Yeah. Bobrovsky had a lot of votes too.
Yeah, and I can't really blame. I would have sat there and probably would have picked Bennett in the grand scope of things, but I can't make a very good argument against Marchand. So Marchand, maybe the ultimate trade deadline acquisition.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gino, supposedly looking at his final season in Pittsburgh, Juna Koppinen, who had a cup of coffee at the Penguins this year, is returning on a 1-year deal. Trying to see who else. Sidney Crosby's going to the Olympics, which is no real surprise.
Boko Amama re-signed.
Boko Amama, which was Kyle Dubas kind of prioritized that. He said that was one guy he wanted to get done. And honestly, for a team like the Penguins, that's fine. I think Boko would be great in the locker room if he can stay healthy. He fights, but he's not like a goon fighter. I think a full season of him in Pittsburgh would endear him to the fan base in a George Laraque type way, but I think with maybe a little bit better offensive presence.
George couldn't really skate.
Yeah, Boko I think can skate. George can't.
He can.
Boko can skate.
Not George. Boko can kind of he can wheel, but
Pittsburgh loved George Laraque though. Like he was a different, even though it was only like 2008, still a much different time. 17 years does a lot changes in 17 years, but no, Boko is back on a 1-year deal. He's going to be a bottom 6 guy that goes out there. He's going to hit some people. He's going to fight. He's going to stand up for some guys. And from everything I've heard, he's a fantastic locker room guy, which is going to be massive next year for the Penguins with all these young guys. And he's, again, if you get guys like McGroarty and Pickering and Koivunen, he played with all these guys in the AHL, so he has a rapport with them. Crosby, I could see Crosby probably gets along with just about anyone, and he'll try to endear himself to Crosby, and I'm sure.
Boko is actually working out with Chris Letang in Montreal right now. I saw on I saw on Letang's Instagram they're working out together at a gym in Montreal, which I'm like, dude, that's a great. Chris Letang's a great veteran piece. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You just imagine the conversations. Like Boko's still pretty young. Like he's not like an old goon.
He'll be 29 when the season starts. I mean, he's only going to be 29 years old. I mean,
yeah, it's not like this is Kyle Clifford, or something like that, or like I don't know, Michael Haley or something. This or Tanner Glass. This will really be his first real shot in the NHL. Like he played 15 games with the Penguins last year. That's by far the most he's ever played in the NHL. He had short stints with Arizona and Ottawa. So it'll be fun to see him there. He's going to be a great locker room guy for some of these young players, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how it all plays out. He actually has 2 points in the NHL. Both are goals. He has never had an assist in the NHL. Well, he had a snipe this year.
Yeah,
I remember he had
a
ridiculous goal. I was like,
that was
get him on the power play
against Columbus because he did get hurt for a while at the end of the season.
He did. He had surgery.
Yeah, they kind of took him out, but he's a Montreal native, so he can go up there and hang out with Letang all summer, get jacked and ripped and in shape. And Boko is back, and that's one guy that Kyle Dubas did want to bring back. He was pretty clear about that. We got it's the offseason now, guys, and it's gonna start getting really heating up here now. I mean, there's no real time to waste. The Panthers were out on South Beach today getting absolutely shit canned in South Beach, which good for them. I mean, the cup has a giant dent in it already, which is no real surprise. Again, the thing about the Florida winning is not only do they have practice at this, but they're all young and can go out and party as much as they want. I mean, Brad Marchand's like the dad of this group, and they probably carry him around in their pocket because he's so small. But they'll be partying for the next week while their front office guys show up to the draft completely like ties tied around their head.
Good luck.
Swollen. Yeah, swollen and sweaty and just smelling like
a brewery.
Like 40 different kinds of alcohol. But
it'd be so crazy to win the cup and just know that you have like a license to just go on a bender of all benders, but you also don't have like, you're not like, you have so much money. Like there's nothing like you can drink the nicest alcohol or the shittiest alcohol. You could go, I don't know, I'm one of those guys that like, I like to go to bars, but like with buddies or something like that, but bars are expensive. Imagine having that unlimited money resource and just going to bars and just buying like these guys are just going to have so much fun. It'd be so much fun to win the Stanley Cup, man. I'm so jealous of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you just go out and drink all you want and not
a rich guy bender is so much different than your and my benders, Robbie.
Yeah, I don't know. These are hockey players. They grew up drinking cheap beer. Like,
true.
They haven't necessarily deviated too far from that path. Like, I've seen some of the stuff they're drinking, and it's not exactly like top shelf like craft beer. I mean, it's like
I saw a White Claw in one of their hands.
Yeah, I think Marchand was taking down a spiked iced tea. Like, they're not exactly going like top shelf here, but their private party will have like the bar tab in their private party will probably be like $60,000 or something like that.
Probably, and no one's gonna have a problem picking that tab up because they won. Like Bill Zito, they could phone up Bill Zito and he'll just like read off the card number to the bartender.
Did you see the video of Barkov last night? The ring camera?
Him jamming the doorbell at 5 a.m.
5 a.m. It's his neighbor. It wasn't like he pulled over. It was like a neighbor, but he was like jamming the doorbell at 5 a.m, and then he's like, "Get out here, get out here!" And this you can hear the wife being like, "He's coming." And the one guy carrying the cup, it didn't say who it was. I don't even know if it was a player. He's like, "Turn on your porch light." The only thing you could see was like the infrared of the ring camera, and it's just a
all European guy in a suit. That's kind of scary at 5 a.m.
A shit-faced European guy.
It's all European, even
Florida,
scarier.
Because he hit the doorbell, did its ding thing, and then he started hitting the door, and it is pretty funny. But could you just imagine being like woken up at 5 a.m. and you see some guy in the ring camera holding the Stanley Cup, and you're just like, what the hell? I'd be up pretty quick, that's for sure.
Yeah, but if I saw the Stanley Cup there, I wouldn't be. I bet you they had like a deal. He's like, if you win it, you come ring my doorbell, and that's why he went and was just like ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but still.
Even if he didn't, how are you going to be mad at that?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, hell yeah, come in. I'd
be like 5 a.m. I got a cold beer in the fridge. Let's drink out of this thing.
Yeah, we got some beers on chilled already. He probably if he knew he was coming, he probably put some beers in the fridge before he went to bed. And
it's a rich neighborhood in Florida. Those guys have probably their fridges are stocked with cold beer.
Yeah, all the time.
As it should be. Robbie, is your fridge stocked with cold beer?
I have a couple out in my garage fridge.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no cold beers in my fridge right now. I need to go acquire some because
it's that time. It's about to be 90 here this weekend, so.
I saw there's some extreme humidity hitting the east side of
so bad right now.
The country. It's weak.
The temperature isn't even too bad, but the humidity right now is just repulsive, and it don't stop raining though either. It rains literally every day.
That's wild. We've been just having good weather. I think rain's coming, but yeah, man, it's that time of year watching these guys celebrate. I've done nothing but work, and I'm just like, I watch them going on these benders. It's about to be a summer of celebration for all these guys, and it's like, yeah, that would be nice. I'm gonna start NHL, maybe fire up NHL 19 or 2014 maybe, and try to play through a whole season and win the cup, and then I'll
go on your own bender.
I'll go on my own bender.
Fair enough. But, well, folks, that is covering pretty much everything. The offseason is here. Next week, we'll figure out something to talk about, draft stuff, offseason stuff. I know that 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, Garrett and I live reacted when the Penguins picked Braden Yeager.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll see.
I'd be down for something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's a Friday night. We'll see what's going on, but we'll definitely be here.
Drop a teaser. Who do you want from what you've seen?
What I've seen, my big wish would be Porter Martone falling to the Penguins. That would be my big. That would be my wishful guess. My prediction is Kashawn Atkinson.
Aitchison or something?
Something.
I don't know how to say it either.
That's because, I've seen him picked or mocked to the Penguins a few times now. That is my that is where I am putting my theoretical chips. But my wishful thinking is Porter Martone.
That's actually super funny because mine is flip-flopped. I want that Aitchison kid who's the second coming of Scott Stevens. And I feel like the Penguins are going to somehow end up with Porter Martone.
If one of the centers falls, then I'm completely fine with that. And there's a very real possibility that they end up with a center and a defenseman, Aitchison and Martone or Eklund as well, if they get that number 12 pick. So that'll be really interesting to see how that all plays out in the coming 8 days.
Have you seen that highlight reel of Aitchison's hits?
Yeah, he's an absolute beast. He's not even fully grown yet.
He's not even fully grown, but he knows how to hit. That is what Penguins need.
For him, it's going to be more bulking than anything. But
True.
he can also score. Not saying he's going to be like a Carlson or Letang, but he has a physical presence with the ability to score as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all plays out as the first round goes along.
It'll be interesting, and we'll cover all that down when we get a little bit closer. We'll do a mock draft episode. Yeah. We'll talk about prospects, and I guess obviously barring any crazy news, I saw Brian Rust's name was out there. Elliot was saying Brian Rust's name's not out there. Teams are calling for Brian Rust. It would be sad to see him go, but God, barring anything like that, we'll probably hop on and do an emergency episode and cover any big trades that pop off.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But other than that, Robbie, I got nothing left.
All right, everyone. That will wrap up this episode of the Skating Penguin Network. Covered some Stanley Cup final action, hit on some Penguins notes, and we are now going to shift into full offseason preparedness mode. It's about to get really heating up. The hot stove is about to turn on for the NHL here in the next couple days and weeks, so make sure you stick with us. So until then, I'm Robbie. That is Snail. We will talk to you guys next week.